I'm Casey Reed, 32 years old, standing in my Albuquerque apartment, pregnant and proud, surrounded by friends and family. It was supposed to be a joyful night celebrating our new home. But then my sister grabbed the microphone. "I've already spoken to a lawyer," she declared, her voice slicing through the chatter. "From this moment on, I am the owner of this house." She turned to the crowd, pointing straight at me. "She is no longer welcome here." My heart stopped. My husband just sipped his wine, his eyes carefully avoiding mine. Under the table, my best friend's hand found mine, her grip tight. The room went silent. Every gaze locked on me as if waiting for me to crumble. I could feel the weight of their stares, judgment, betrayal. Her words weren't just a claim. They were a knife cutting through everything I had built. I should have seen it coming, the late-night texts, the whispered calls, the way she lingered in my home as if it were hers. But I was pregnant, exhausted, clinging to the belief that family meant trust. I was wrong. My husband's silence screamed louder than her words. I waited for her to finish, my pulse racing, and in my head, I counted 3, 2, 1. Silence swallowed the room. I stood, my hand steady, and reached for my purse and pulled out something no one in the room expected. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of my fight. A fight to protect the child growing inside me, to reclaim justice, and to expose the masks of betrayal hiding within my own family. From that moment on, I knew I could no longer be the weak woman they thought I was. I would fight no matter what the cost. Does this story remind you of someone in your own family? Share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes one sentence can change everything. 6 months before the party, I believed Derek and I were stepping into a brand new beginning. We had just signed the papers for a 3-bedroom apartment in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Cozy, filled with light from its wide windows, and most importantly, the very first home we could truly call our own after years of renting. To me, it felt like a dream finally coming true, made even more special with a baby on the way. In my mind, I could already see our daughter's nursery walls painted a gentle yellow, a white crib tucked by the window to catch the morning sun. Derek Blair. My husband seemed just as excited, at least at first. We spent late evenings together, planning how to arrange the rooms, choosing color swatches, and laughing over quirky furniture catalogs. But as weeks passed, something shifted. Derek started pulling away. He'd come home late, his phone buzzing constantly, his eyes glued to the screen. When I asked who he was texting, he'd shrug and say, "Just work." I wanted to believe him. My pregnancy hormones were making me emotional, and I didn't want to seem paranoid. Then my sister Sheila started texting me out of the blue. She'd always been the overbearing type, 2 years older and always acting like she knew better. "Did you pay the mortgage yet?" she'd message. Or, "You sure you can afford that place?" Her question stung, like she doubted I could handle my own life. I brushed it off, telling myself she was just being her usual, controlling self. But it didn't stop there. One Saturday, I came home from grocery shopping, my arms full of bags, to find Sheila in my living room. She was holding a measuring tape, eyeing my curtains like she owned the place. "These won't do," she said, not even looking at me. "You need something classier for a home like this." I froze, my stomach twisting. How did she even get in? When I asked, she waved a hand. "Derek gave me a key. Said you wouldn't mind." I minded a lot, but I bit my tongue, not wanting to start a fight with my sister while pregnant. Derek wasn't any help. That night, I asked him why he gave Sheila a key without telling me. He just mumbled something about family helping out and changed the subject. His phone buzzed again, and he turned it face down on the table. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Sheila's texts kept coming, each one more intrusive. "You should refinance the loan," she wrote once. "I know a guy who can get you a better rate." How did she even know about our loan? I hadn't told her anything. When I mentioned it to Derek, he said she's just trying to be helpful. "Casey, relax." But I couldn't relax. The way Sheila talked about my home like it was hers to manage made my skin crawl. Monica, my best friend since college, noticed the change in me. We met for coffee one morning, and I spilled everything: Derek's distance, Sheila's constant meddling. Monica's eyes narrowed as she stirred her latte. Casey, that's not normal. Sheila's acting like she's got a stake in your apartment. You need to watch her. I nodded. But deep down, I didn't want to believe my sister could have bad intentions. We'd grown up close, sharing secrets and sleepovers. Sure, Sheila could be bossy, but malicious? I wasn't ready to go there. Still, Monica's words stuck with me. I started paying closer attention to Sheila's comments, her uninvited visits. One day, I caught her flipping through papers on my kitchen counter, bills, mortgage documents. Just curious, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. My unease grew, a tight knot in my chest. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, that family didn't betray family. But every time Sheila showed up, every time Derek dodged my questions, that knot tightened. I was starting to wonder what they were hiding and why. One afternoon, I came home to find Sheila in my living room. She was rearranging my throw pillows, tossing the blue ones I'd picked out onto the floor like they didn't belong. Her heels clicked sharply against my hardwood, her eyes scanning the space with a frown. "This place needs a serious upgrade," she said, not even looking at me. I stood in the doorway, grocery bags heavy in my arms. My pregnancy making every step feel like a chore. "Sheila, what are you doing here?" I asked, my voice tight. She turned, her smile cold and calculated. "I'm helping, Casey. This apartment deserves better than your choices." My chest burned. Helping? She hadn't asked to come in, hadn't even knocked. When I demanded to know how she got in, she shrugged. Derek gave me a key. Said it was fine since I helped with the down payment. My stomach twisted. Helped? That was a lie. I'd poured every cent of my savings, earned from years of late nights at my marketing job, into this apartment. Sheila hadn't contributed a single dollar. I set the bags down, my hands shaking. "You didn't help with anything," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Sheila raised an eyebrow unfazed. "Oh, Casey, don't be dramatic. I've been supporting you and Derek for years. This place is as much mine as it is yours." Her words hit like a slap. Supporting us? She'd never lent us money, never offered more than her constant opinions. I wanted to scream, but I held back, my pregnancy making me feel fragile, like one wrong move could break me. That night, I waited for Derek to get home. He walked in, his phone buzzing as usual, and barely looked at me. "Why does Sheila have a key?" I asked, my tone sharp. He sighed, loosening his tie. "She's just trying to help, Casey. You're overreacting." Overreacting? I felt the air leave the room. He turned away, checking his phone again, and I caught a glimpse of an email notification before he tilted the screen. The next morning, while Derek was in the shower, I grabbed his laptop. My heart pounded as I opened his email, something I'd never done before. There it was, a thread with Sheila titled Apartment Docs. He'd sent her our mortgage contract, the one I'd signed alone, because Derek's credit wasn't good enough. Why would he share that? My hands trembled as I scrolled through their messages. "She doesn't need to know," Sheila had written. "We'll handle it." Handle what? I snapped a photo of the screen with my phone, my mind racing. This wasn't just meddling. This was something bigger, something planned. I called Monica, my best friend, and met her at a diner near my office. Over greasy fries and weak coffee, I told her everything: Sheila's uninvited visit, her claim about the down payment, the key, the emails. Monica's eyes widened, her fork pausing midair. "Casey, this isn't right. Sheila's acting like she owns your home, and Derek's letting her. You need to check those documents. Make sure nothing's been changed." Her words sent a chill through me. Check the documents? I hadn't even thought of that. "And start keeping a record," Monica added, her voice firm. "Every text, every visit, every weird thing Sheila does. You need proof." I nodded, my throat tight. Proof. The word felt heavy, like I was preparing for a fight I didn't want. Back home, I started saving everything. I took screenshots of Sheila's texts. Her latest one read, "You should repaint the walls, Casey. I know a contractor." I saved the photo of Derek's email to her, the one with our contract. I even started noting down her visits in a journal, like the time she showed up with a stack of paint samples, saying, "I'm just planning ahead for when this place is mine." Mine. The word echoed in my head each time, making my blood run cold. I felt like a stranger in my own home, pushed out by my own sister and husband. Every night, I'd lie awake, my hand on my belly, feeling my baby kick. This apartment was supposed to be her home, our safe place. But with Sheila's key in her pocket and Derek's secrets piling up, it felt like a battleground. I wasn't sure what they were planning, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to let them take what was mine. The day of the housewarming felt off from the start. I woke up with a knot in my stomach, my pregnancy weighing down every step. The Albuquerque apartment was set. String lights glowed over the balcony. Trays of chips and dip lined the kitchen counter, and soft music hummed in the background. Guests started arriving, their laughter and chatter filling the space. Ellen Morse, my cousin, slipped through the door, offering a quick hug and a smile that faded too fast. Monica helped me arrange drinks, her eyes darting around like she could sense the tension I was trying to ignore. Derek was there, but barely present, his fingers glued to his phone, avoiding our guests' small talk. I forced a smile, greeting everyone, trying to shake the unease creeping up my spine. This was our new home, our fresh start. But Sheila's shadow hung over it all. She arrived late, striding in with a sharp smirk, her gaze sweeping the room like she was judging every inch. Halfway through the night, Sheila snatched the microphone from the karaoke machine we'd rented for fun. The chatter stopped, all eyes turning to her. "I have an announcement," she said, her voice cold and commanding. "I've spoken with a lawyer, and as of today, I'm the rightful owner of this apartment." My breath caught, my heart slamming against my ribs. She pointed at me, her eyes glinting. "Casey doesn't belong here. She can't afford this place, and it's time she leaves." The words hit like a punch, each one slicing through me. Gasps echoed around the room. Ellen's hand froze on her glass, her jaw dropping. Monica grabbed my arm, her grip tight, whispering, "Breathe, Casey." But I couldn't breathe. My face burned, my pulse thundering in my ears. Derek stood in the corner sipping his wine, his eyes locked on the floor. Not a word, not a glance. His silence screamed louder than Sheila's voice. The room felt like it was closing in. Neighbors, coworkers, family, all staring at me, their whispers buzzing like static. Sheila's smirk widened, her confidence unshaken, like she'd already claimed my home. My mind raced, replaying her lies about the down payment, her uninvited visits, the emails she'd exchanged with Derek. It was all connected, a plan I hadn't seen coming. My hands trembled, my body frozen in place. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but my throat was tight. My thoughts a jumbled mess. How could my sister do this? How could Derek just stand there? Monica's hand stayed on my arm, her voice low but steady. "We'll figure this out," she murmured. Ellen's eyes met mine, wide with shock, her fingers clutching her glass like it might shatter. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, some guests shifting uncomfortably, others leaning in, waiting for me to crack. Sheila stood tall, her chin lifted as if daring me to challenge her. But I couldn't move, couldn't speak. The weight of her words, Derek's betrayal, and the eyes of everyone I knew pinned me in place. My home, my safe haven, felt like it was slipping away, and I was powerless to stop it. A week after the party, I couldn't stop replaying Sheila's words. Her voice echoed in my head, sharp and smug, claiming my apartment as hers. I sat on the couch in our Albuquerque home, my hand resting on my belly, feeling my baby's faint kicks. The string lights from the housewarming still hung on the balcony, mocking the celebration that had turned into a nightmare. Derek was barely around, leaving early and coming home late, his phone always buzzing. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting back to that night, to his silence as Sheila humiliated me. Then on Monday, Paula Hart, my colleague from the marketing team, asked me to meet her for lunch. Her text was cryptic. "We need to talk. It's about Derek." My stomach churned, but I agreed, hoping it was nothing serious. At a small diner near the office, Paula slid her phone across the table. "I saw them last week," she said, her voice low. "Derek and Sheila at a coffee shop downtown." She showed me a photo, Derek and Sheila sitting close, her hand on his arm, their faces inches apart. My throat tightened. Paula hesitated, then opened a screenshot of a text conversation she'd overheard and snapped. It was from Derek's phone to Sheila. Casey's clueless. Once we push her out, the apartment's ours. My hands shook as I stared at the words. Not just betrayal, but a plan to take my home. Paula's eyes softened. I'm sorry, Casey. I had to tell you. That night, I waited until Derek was asleep. His phone was on the nightstand, unlocked, a rare slip. My heart pounded as I scrolled through his messages with Sheila. There were dozens, going back months. She doesn't deserve the place, Sheila wrote. We'll make it ours. Derek replied, just keep her distracted. I'll handle the rest. My chest burned, tears blurring the screen. They weren't just plotting against me. They were together. Every late night, every dodged question, every smirk from Sheila, it all made sense. I felt like the ground had vanished beneath me. My own husband and sister tearing apart the life I'd built. I couldn't confront Derek yet. I needed more. The next day, I called Sheila, my hands trembling as I hit the record button on my phone. Why are you doing this? I asked, keeping my voice steady. She laughed, cold and sharp. Casey, you're in over your head. That apartment, it's too much for you. I'm just resolving things. I pressed harder. Resolving by claiming my home? She paused. Then her voice dropped. You should have stayed out of the way. Derek and I will take care of it. My blood ran cold. She'd admitted it, her plan to push me out. I saved the recording, my heart racing, but my resolve hardening. I met Monica at her place that evening, my phone full of screenshots and the audio file. She listened to the recording, her jaw tight. This is disgusting, she said, her voice fierce. They're trying to steal your life, Casey. You need to fight back. She helped me organize everything, screenshots of the texts, the photo from Paula, the mortgage contract in my name, and Sheila's recorded confession. You've got enough for a lawyer, Monica said, her eyes steady. They can't get away with this. I nodded, my throat tight. The betrayal cut deep. Derek, who I'd built a future with, and Sheila, my own sister, working together to destroy me. But something shifted inside me. I wasn't just hurt. I was angry. This was my home, my baby's future. They'd underestimated me, and I was done being their pawn. I'd fight, not just for the apartment, but for myself. I packed my bags and moved to Monica's apartment the next morning. The Albuquerque air felt heavy as I left the home I'd fought so hard for, my pregnancy making each step ache. Staying under the same roof as Derek was unbearable after his betrayal. Monica welcomed me with a tight hug, her spare room already set up with a bed and fresh towels. You're safe here, she said, her voice steady but fierce. I nodded, my throat too tight to speak. That afternoon, I met with a lawyer named Laura Martinez in a small office downtown. I laid out everything, Sheila's false claim about the down payment, her uninvited visits, the email she exchanged with Derek about our mortgage contract, and the recording where she admitted wanting to resolve me to take the apartment. I also showed Laura the photo Paula had sent, the text confirming Derek and Sheila's affair and their plan to push me out. This is serious, Laura said, her pen tapping the desk. We can file against Sheila for fraud and attempted forgery of property documents, and against Derek for violating your privacy by sharing the contract. My heart pounded, but her confidence gave me a flicker of hope. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with notifications. Sheila had posted on social media a long rant accusing me of abandoning Derek and being unfit to own the apartment. Casey walked out on her husband, leaving him with nothing, she wrote. She doesn't deserve that place. My stomach twisted as I read the lies, the comments piling up from strangers and distant acquaintances. Some called me selfish, others questioned my stability. The betrayal stung deeper than I thought possible. My own sister painting me as the villain. I wanted to scream, to tell the world the truth, but Monica stopped me. Don't engage, she said, her hand on my shoulder. We'll fight this with facts, not posts. I took a shaky breath, trusting her judgment, but the public humiliation burned. At work, Paula pulled me aside during a break. I found something, she whispered, handing me a printed email. It was from Sheila to a local real estate company, claiming she was the co-owner of my apartment and requesting a title transfer. The document was riddled with forged details, my signature doctored to look real, and a fabricated payment history. I got this from a friend at the agency, Paula said, her eyes sharp. Sheila's been trying to push this through behind your back. My hands shook as I read it, the audacity of her plan sinking in. Paula's evidence was another piece of the puzzle, proof of Sheila's fraud. I thanked her, my voice barely steady, and sent the email to Laura immediately. That evening, I asked Derek to meet me at a park near Monica's place. I needed answers, and I needed them on record. My phone was in my pocket, recording as he approached, his face tense. "Why, Derek?" I asked, my voice low but firm. "Why, Sheila? Why my home?" He shifted, avoiding my eyes. "It wasn't supposed to go this far," he muttered. "Sheila and it just happened. She said we could sell the apartment, split the money." My chest tightened, but I kept my voice even. "You plan to take it from me," I said. He didn't deny it, his silence confirming everything. "I messed up, Casey," he finally said, but Sheila pushed me into it. I stopped the recording, my heart racing. His confession was raw, undeniable, another weapon for my case. Back at Monica's, we spread out all the evidence on her kitchen table, the mortgage contract in my name, Sheila's recorded admission, Derek's texts, Paula's photo, the forged real estate email, and now Derek's confession. Monica organized it all into folders, her hands steady as she labeled each file. "This is airtight," she said, her voice firm. "Laura's going to tear them apart in court." She looked at me, her eyes softening. "You're stronger than you know, Casey." I didn't feel strong. I felt broken, betrayed by the two people I'd trusted most. But as I looked at the evidence, at the truth I'd fought to uncover, something shifted. This wasn't just about the apartment anymore. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, for me and my baby. I was ready for the fight ahead, no matter how ugly it got. The courtroom was quieter than I expected. The Albuquerque sun filtered through high windows, casting stark shadows on the wooden benches. I sat beside Laura, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, my pregnancy making me shift uncomfortably. Across the room, Sheila and Derek sat stiffly, avoiding my gaze. Laura stood, her voice steady as she presented our case. She showed the judge the evidence, text messages between Derek and Sheila plotting to take my apartment, the recording of Sheila admitting she wanted to resolve me, Derek's confession in the park, and the forged email Sheila sent to the real estate company with my faked signature. Each piece felt like a brick building a wall of truth no one could deny. The judge's face remained unreadable, but I saw Sheila's hands twitch, her composure slipping. Derek's jaw was tight, his eyes fixed on the floor, just like at the housewarming. When it was their turn, Sheila's lawyer argued she'd acted in good faith, claiming the apartment was a joint investment. Derek's attorney said he'd only shared the contract to protect Sheila's interests. Laura dismantled their claims, pointing out the forged documents and the timeline of their affair. The judge leaned forward, her voice sharp as she questioned Sheila about the email. Sheila stammered, her face flushing, unable to explain the fake signature. Derek stayed silent, offering no defense. After what felt like hours, the judge ruled the apartment was mine, solely in my name. Sheila and Derek had no legal claim. The gavel struck, and a weight lifted off my chest. I glanced at Monica in the gallery, her nod firm and proud. The judge didn't stop there. Sheila's forged email triggered a criminal investigation for fraud. Whispers followed her out of the courtroom, her reputation in our community crumbling. Neighbors who'd seen her social media posts now turned away, their trust in her gone. Derek was ordered to pay compensatory damages for violating my privacy, a financial hit that left his face pale. Right after the ruling, I walked to Laura's office and signed divorce papers, my hand steady, despite the ache in my heart. Derek wasn't the man I'd married, and I wasn't going to let him define my future. The papers were filed that afternoon, severing our bond for good. 2 months later, I gave birth to my daughter, Ivy, in a hospital room filled with sunlight. Monica was there, holding my hand as I held Ivy for the first time, her tiny fingers curling around mine. Her name felt right, a symbol of growth. After so much pain, I moved into a new apartment in Albuquerque, a smaller place with big windows and a balcony just for us. Monica helped me unpack, her laughter filling the space as we hung new curtains and set up Ivy's crib. Sheila and Derek were gone from my life. No calls, no messages, no apologies. I didn't need them. The lies, the betrayal, the public humiliation. They'd tried to break me, but I'd stood firm. The truth had been my shield, and my resilience had carried me through. Ivy and I were starting fresh.